Welcome back to Witch Daily's Countdown to Halloween, the countdown to Samhain. We are getting our witch on as we get through the Samhain season. Today we're going to make some incense for our Samhain ritual. And it's a little bit of a complicated incense, but it's so yummy. I think you're really going to enjoy it. The main things to think about with making this incense is that the goal of the incense and the kind of ingredients that we're going to use have to do with love, but also with protection. There's some things that might seem a little discontinuous there or disconnected there, but there's a reason for every single one of those elements or ingredients that we're using. So I'm gonna bring in the video that I did to show you how to make the Samhain incense, and you'll see that there's a whole list of ingredients that you're going to go through, and most of these ingredients you can get either at the store or you can buy it from an apothecary, or you can order them online from a witchy store or an herb supplier. I get I get most of my herbs from Mountain Rose Herbs, which is a bulk supplier because I use a lot of herbs, as you might imagine. And they're primarily organic, so I know that I'm not getting any pesticides or anything, since I do a lot of incense and things that I'm going to drink. So I want to make sure that my potions and incense is all pesticide free, shall we say. So just make sure that you trust your supplier. And we also are going to have a list of trusted suppliers on our website, so you can get some links there. But enjoy it, and just know that this incense that you're going to make, you're going to need to also have it, you're going to burn it with charcoal, so you're not going to be making stick incense, you're going to be making loose incense that you're going to keep for Samhain, and then you just need a little spoon, a little incense holder, and you'll have a wonderful, amazing smelling incense for your altar. Alright, so here are our ingredients. The one thing that's not on here that you're going to need is some charcoal discs. So you just want to make sure you add that to your shopping list when you go, so that you don't make this beautiful incense and then you're like, I can't burn it now. So make sure to add the charcoal discs to your list. We're going to use mostly half tablespoon spoon and a half teaspoon spoon as we do this. We're going to start with the frankincense and myrrh. And frankincense and myrrh are pretty much, you're going to find them in a lot of incense recipes. So it's always good to have them on hand. So we're going to use a half teaspoon here just because the jar is small. So we're going to wind up with a teaspoon of myrrh. And when you're done, you're going to wind up with just about 3 ounces of incense, which will be plenty. It'll last you a couple hours for Samhain. So frankincense, about a teaspoon and a half, because the resin makes these big rocks, if you will. So frank and myrrh is kind of hard to grind. It takes a little while. You have to use a lot of strength in your arms to kind of roll it around your mortar and pestle. Next, we're going to use some cloves. Now, what you can't see is I've already poured out some of these up in the bowl up on top, the other white bowl. So we use about a teaspoon of cloves. And that's another thing that's kind of hard to grind, so you just want to kind of get in there and do your best to get it down. Next, we're going to use some dragon's blood resin. Dragon's blood is from a tree that's like a tropical tree. It's used a lot in different kinds of incenses and as a dye. It's also used for making dragon's blood ink. And dragon's blood incense smells really good. And it's a dye, so you can imagine it tends to stain, so just be aware that everything's going to be that color for a little while. Forgot to show you that I was adding the cinnamon, so I had to kind of throw that in. It went into the bowl up top. And I realized this as I'm doing this, so I have to grab the bowl. Put the lavender in the bowl, which you kind of saw. Now, I'm going to add some benzoin gum, and this acts as something that kind of holds the incense together, but it also has its own scent and perfume, and it's really lovely. And we're going to use our roses that we made yesterday. You can see they're a little big, so we're going to probably have to chop them up a little bit. Use about a tablespoon of dried roses. And just make sure that you're paying attention to how much stuff is in your bowl. Next, some poppy. These are the leaves and the stems and some of the flowers all ground up together. And some wormwood. We're going to do two tablespoons of poppy and a full tablespoon of poppy and a full tablespoon of wormwood. We're going to just mix those up really good. And you want to see if you can get all of the ingredients to kind of mix together. So with the dragon's blood, I use the resin because I prefer it. It keeps longer, but you can also just buy the powdered dragon's blood that's already been pulverized for you. That's no problem. Just keep mixing, mixing, mixing. I'm also trying to like make any of the resins that are still kind of got little rocks in there. I'm trying to break those up a little bit too. Now we have a beautiful finished incense. It's going to look really pretty on the Samhain altar. I'm going to burn a little bit. And I didn't realize that my charcoal had really taken off. You'll see it flash in a second. I was going to try to light it again. And there it goes. It's lighting up. Pick it up and stick it in my cauldron. I'm lighting it again, not realizing that I don't need to. Showing you what it looks like. Now some people like to put the charcoal on top of the incense, which is fine. I just prefer to see it so I know if I need to add more, so I always do my incense on top of the charcoal. And if you're using something else, you can add like a little salt to the bottom so that it keeps from burning your incenser. But I'm using an iron cauldron, so it doesn't matter very much. It will get very hot. So, all right, and now we've made some beautiful Samhain incense that's going to really help with the mood for your Samhain ritual. You can see it's very pretty, and that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, now you've got amazing witchy incense for your altar for Samhain. I'll also tell you, depending on how you are doing a ritual, you could also add a pinch of sulfur to this incense if you wanted it to be a little more spooky. But I don't like to work with sulfur too much at Samhain because it's a little more banishing, and I like to have the communication coming from the other side of the veil. So that's the purpose of the incense, is to have that increased communication as well as protection from anyone or anything that might do us harm. So the incense itself is bringing in all of that as you go, and you don't want to banish that power too much. So sulfur tends to be more banishing. I don't use it a whole lot, but I know a lot of people use sulfur at Samhain. So if you wanted to use that, you could, just a tiny little sprinkle. Be careful, it is a very active compound though. So, all right, so now you've got some amazing Samhain incense for your altar, and we will see you here tomorrow for our next countdown video in our countdown to Halloween. I hope you have a wonderful, magical, witchy day.